الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه وأعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة وأرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد واهتدى ومن يعصهما فإنه قد غوى وإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر الله شيئا. إن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن خير الأمور عوازمها وشر الأمور محدثاتها كل محدثات بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم القرآن الكريم في سورة الروم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليكم خبير. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا أيها الناس إن الله قد أذهب عنكم نخوة الجاهلية وتفاخره بعبودها. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا إنكم من آدم وآدم من طين ألا إن خير عباد الله عبد التقوى. صدق المصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم وصدق الله العلي العظيم. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, let us be reminded that one fundamental aspect of Islam is its regard for all human beings as equal children of Adam, having descended from one source based on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's infinite power and His wise plan. As a religion, as a Deen, Islam condemns any form of discrimination amongst people. In his farewell sermon, the Prophet Muhammad found it significant enough to repudiate any form of distinction or discrimination based on race, color, and backgrounds of people. Our fundamental beliefs recognize no distinction among human beings based on color, language, tribe, backgrounds, ethnicities, nationalities. All are considered equal in receiving human rights and in discharging our duties. There is no privileged or chosen class according to Islam, except the distinction being based on piety and taqwa. Keeping that in mind, brothers and sisters, I felt it necessary to remind myself for the last few weeks about how the ugly monster of racism remains very active across the world and in our societies. All over the world, nationalism in different modes of understanding has become a basis for going after the other, those not like us, those of other nations, races, color, ethnicities, faith, culture, migrants. And there was a recent reminder for all of us a few weeks ago when there was this incident at the Buffalo Wild Wings on 75th Street. We've all read about it. The black family gathering for a celebration, seated at a table, and they were asked to move away, go someplace else. When that came up, I thought about what role I have to play individually, and then what do we collectively play as a community? What is Islam's position regarding the diversity of creation and the equality of all before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The reminder that the only distinguishing factor is the taqwa that we have. There was a need I felt for me to set my perspective right. How do we look at this concept of differences in race, in color, in background, in ethnicities? From two perspectives, it's important, brothers and sisters. One is, of course, when we look outside. How do we interact with people of other faiths or no faiths? Keeping the glasses of no racism. The second perspective that I felt was important for myself and all of us to keep in mind is how do we address that within the Muslim community itself? It's something that bears our serious attention. And I'd like to say that with forgiveness if it offends people, but there is this issue and concern we need to be looking at within our community too. Is there a distinction? Knowingly, unknowingly, willingly, unwittingly, prejudices, biases we may get from our upbringing, from the cultures that we are used to, are we able to see through one clear lens that Islam demands from us? So that is what I want to address and remind myself and all of us today. The ayah of Ta'aruf, all of us are familiar with it. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا. O humankind, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Surah Ar-Rum, after several verses where He addresses the mu'mineen, the believers first, then shifts the perspective, the camera is pulled backward to look at the entirety of humanity, and Allah addresses, Ya ayyuhan nas, O humanity, without doubt we have created you from a single male and a female, and made you into various nations and tribes. And the purpose is given, لِتَعَارَفُوا, so that you may know and understand each other. It's a very important, profound verse. It is used often in interactions with people from other faiths. I know I've given lip service to it in work in the interfaith arena over the last 20 years or more. But then when I sit back and realize, have I really been adhering to that concept in all aspects of my belief and actions? Am I looking at people with this commandment from Allah in mind, that there are others who are different, and these are created specifically by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a reason, with His wisdom behind it? And what the key aspect for me to keep in mind is so that you may know and understand each other. It is not something that I look at and say, this gives me a basis for superiority. I'm better than somebody else. And then immediately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defines what is the distinction. There are distinctions, of course, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Definitely the most honored before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's got the most taqwa, the one with the most piety, the one with the most God consciousness, the one who's most connected and aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then, lest I fall into this self-conceitful understanding that, oh, I know, I am pious, I'm connected to Allah, I come here, I get to do the Jummah khutbah, or perhaps I get to pray at the masjid or something of that nature. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately brings me down to earth, saying, Inna Allah alaykum khabir. Surely Allah has full knowledge, He's all aware. I can make all the excuses I can and say, yes, I am pious, I'm connected, I'm a good person. Allah saying, watch out. I am the one who's fully knowledgeable and fully aware. So, brothers and sisters, this issue of equality between all human beings, opposition to any type of racial, ancestral, class discrimination, any type of unfairness between the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on skin, language, the color of skin, language differences, lineage or races. This is one of the most important societal issues addressed by various verses in the Quran. So here, the reminder once again that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us these differences with which we are created. How we appear different. And we can take a look around us. The Jummah is a wonderful opportunity for us. We just take a look to the right and the left and behind us and in front. We see people of so many different backgrounds. Last week I was at the Jummah khutbah for a community where amazingly they had people from who were Turkish, from Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Albanian, Montenegrins, Bosnian, Middle Eastern, and Indo-Pak, and perhaps others. We look around us, we see that diversity amongst us too. And that is immediately the reaction from us should be, this is part of this commandment from Allah, this blessing from Allah. We have created you to be different. But look out for what binds us together. And the distinction, once again, being based on piety. Keeping that in mind, brothers and sisters, then we are reminded constantly that all of us have originated from a common source. Ittaqum rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahida, and have consciousness of your Lord, all of you who created from a single soul. We are reminded, in fact, that the differences are part of the science of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of His science is the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the differences in your languages and your skin colors. Certainly, there are signs in this for the people of the world, people who deliberate, people who are thinking, people who are aware. In order to reject and eliminate the ignorance that existed, one key aspect of the Prophet ﷺ's mission, the noble, divinely guided mission, was this explanation of equality before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He particularly recognized the reasons for the decline of the people of Mecca and the social ailment of the Arab society, and wanted to completely cure this sickness based on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided him to. And that is the tradition that I related from the Prophet ﷺ, the translation being, O mankind, surely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed removal of pride and conceit within you from the days of ignorance of your forefathers. So the direct understanding, when we get into pride, conceit based on our lineage, our tribal connections, we are falling into ignorance, into jahiliyyah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, has warned us to stay away from that. He emphasized this particularly with respect to the Arab nation where he was active by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. The vanity and the conceit that people there possessed, that it was a contagious disease that was deeply rooted in hearts, but that was part of the jahiliyyah. And the Prophet ﷺ cleared this up. He said, surely your being Arab is not the basis for your personality, not a part of your essence. Rather, it is the language you speak. So, whosoever is negligent in his actions, then the pride that he has from his father, that is the lineage, being an Arab, will not help him in the least, will not make up for the defects in his actions. And then when he indicated that surely all of mankind, from the time of Adam until ours, are like the teeth of a comb, different but equal in action. And there is no greatness for an Arab over a non-Arab, and no greatness for a red-skinned person over a black-skinned person, except due to one's consciousness of Allah. Taqwa. So the common source that we all come from, it's good to keep in mind, brothers and sisters. It's a humbling reminder when I start falling into self-conceit, self-righteousness, thinking that just because of my background, maybe the education that Allah has blessed us with, maybe the status that He has given, that somehow I'm privileged, I am different. The Prophet ﷺ, once again, when he said, verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created Adam from a handful which He took from the earth. So the children of Adam come in accordance with the earth. Some come with red skin, white skin or black skin, and whatever is in between, thin, thick, dirty, and clean. He characterized affiliations which are based on tribe and clan and caste as something to be watching out for. O people, your Lord is one, your father Adam is one. There is no favor of an Arab over a foreigner, nor a foreigner over an Arab, and neither white skin over black skin, nor black skin over white skin, except by righteousness. And then this was from his final sermon when he said, have I not delivered this message? He felt it was important enough that mankind be reminded in his final sermon of how significant this concept is in Islam. So emphasizing that equality between all human beings, then the Prophet ﷺ showed us practical actions to brothers and sisters. And this is the reminder I have for myself and all of us. I cannot just pay lip service to this concept. I cannot just say, yes, Islam is egalitarian, truly in nature, as the world outside supports racism or is concerned about nationalism, supremacy of one race over another. We cannot just say, that is what Islam stands for. It does not matter if I do not behave according to that concept of equality. And the Prophet ﷺ, he showed us in so many instances, marrying the daughter of his uncle to his servant Zayd, gave Bilal radiallahu anhu, who was both a non-Arab and a black-skinned African slave at some point in his time, the most important religious post at that time, one of the most important posts of being the mu'adhin, the one who calls on the behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He commanded Zayd ibn Labid, who was one of the richest and the noblest men from amongst the Ansar, to marry his daughter to a black slave named Jubair. And then remember, of course, as people come from Umrah, they come back from Medina al-Munawwara, the reminder about the Ashab al-Sufa, the indigent, the refugees of Mecca. The Prophet ﷺ gave them a special status, built them there was this platform where they were given the place to reside and learn about Islam and divulge that information, but his concern for their indigence, for their difficulties, that he never failed to walk past, ask about them, use what people gave to keep them well supported and protected. So, keeping all of that in mind, brothers and sisters, and then the distinction being taqwa, that the noble ethical traits, the lofty spiritual characteristics that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for us, truthfulness, love, nobility in character and behavior, friendship, recognition of Allah's commandments at all times, what is prohibited, what is permitted, all of that is what sets us apart. And the understanding then when the Prophet ﷺ said that certainly mankind is of two types. The true believer with piety and nobility toward Allah, and the sinner who's lost and despicable in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the core distinction between mankind that we need to keep in mind. So today, brothers and sisters, then, recognizing that equality of mankind except by the distinction of piety and taqwa, we are asked to act. We should be prepared to act in pursuit of that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us. In Allah, ya'mur bil adl wal ihsan. We hear that in all of the khutbah as essential part of the khutbah around the world. Allah commands you to justice and good. Justice and good toward all. Indiscriminate fairness and justice to all. Indiscriminate good and excellence toward all. That we need to keep in mind, brothers and sisters. So today the challenge, the reminder for myself is to check into my heart, into our hearts. What are my true feelings of brotherhood with all in our community? Can I look around and look at people who look different from me, who are whiter than me, who are blacker than me, browner than me, who speak different languages, who come from different cultures, different nations, and truly look at them and be able to understand that they are part of Allah's creation and part of my family, in which I have to express compassion and caring for all in an indiscriminate manner. This applies in how do I select my friends? Am I being selective and sticking to this culture that I'm comfortable with, to the language that I'm comfortable with, at the expense of people who are different? And nowadays, brothers and sisters, with all the youngsters around, we are facing this as marriages take place. I've got to be able to answer that to myself. My son, my daughter comes home and says, I want to marry according to the halal approach, but somebody who comes from a different culture. It's happening now, but what is my reaction immediately? Am I stepping back and saying, that culture won't work? That nationality is different. That race is different. That language is going to be different. Or am I going to react on the basis of this verse of Ta'aruf? This is an opportunity for me to truly say we are all part of one common family. And then, brothers and sisters, when we note racism by others, what do? If you were, think about that, if you were seated at that table next to this African American family who were discriminated racially and asked to be humiliated and moved out, what would I have done? Would I have just discreetly walked out? Would I have stood up and said something? Would I have spoken up with pride saying, I am a Muslim and I'm a Muslim American and my faith requires equal respect for everybody. And my faith requires adl, justice, and goodness, excellence. Am I then standing up and speaking against racism for people who are discriminated against? What am I going to be doing when I face this, the migrants being pushed off, the oppressed minorities who are fleeing places where they just cannot live, refugees coming in from Syria, Myanmar, the Uyghurs, what is happening in Kashmir? Am I truly concerned enough beyond just paying lip service and thinking these are part of the family that I am expected to be concerned about? And lastly, brothers and sisters, a reminder, as we act upon these obligations, let us recognize the role that our masajid play in this. Just looking around here, it's a unique perspective when you stand out here, and I wish everybody could see this because too often I've done that myself. I come in, pray and move, and I don't recognize the diversity and the power of people who have come here. When you stand here and see all the different nationalities, the colors, background, you feel the power that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. This masjid gives us a platform for that. This is one of the most vibrant, active Muslim American communities around. The range of activities that are provided at the Islamic Center of Naperville at Ogden, at Olison, at the 75th Masjid, this amazing range of programs for children, youth, adults, and the elderly, for women, for people of all spreads across our spectrum. That is phenomenal. And now they're expanding into the 248 Masjid. We need to understand how much more potential that place has to accommodate people of different backgrounds and kinds. And lastly, brothers and sisters, yes, inshallah, we'll keep that in mind and you'll donate. You'll hear appeals from the management out here to support this masjid, all of the 3 masajid, and the new masjid that is coming up. This is your program. This is our program. But the most important request I have for you, for myself as a reminder is, give your money, but become involved. Because these projects cannot continue until we go out and say, I am going to give my time and my commitment to it. So brothers and sisters, last, as I end then, the reminder that these times are difficult, as racism raises its ugly head. And we have a role to play. As Muslims, we are blessed with this profoundly impactful message of Al-Islam, which abhors, condemns any form of discrimination. We should understand that. We should bring that into action. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us, guide us to recognizing our role in bringing the people of diversity together on one common platform based on piety and consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us truly act with adl and with ihsan and with taqwa in these difficult times. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all our offerings in His cause. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Amma ba'd, fa ya ma'ashar al-muslimin. Qala Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inna Allah. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد بعدد من صلى وصام اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد بعدد من قعد وقام اللهم صل على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى سائر الصحابة والتابعين وعلى عبادك الصالحين اللهم أيد الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم قوي إيمان إخواننا وأخواتنا في كل مكان خصوصا في فلسطين وسوريا واليمن وميانمار وتشيد وباكستان وهند وبنغلاديش وكشمير وكل أفريق وكل أمريكا وفي كل مكان اللهم قوي إيمانهم وثبت أقدامهم وانصرهم على عدوهم اللهم أشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين اللهم اغفر لكل جميع موتى المسلمين اللهم فرج كروب المسلمين وآمن روات المسلمين واستر عورات المسلمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر أقيموا الصلاة brothers and